bastard.
A lot of space.
Eddie just wants to massacre him.
Go on out there and kill them. Wipe them out. All of them. To the very last man. Violence. Brutality.
Trick-or-treaters are all dead. Isn't it beautiful? Take a walk in the cemetery.
Get eaten up by cannibals.
Celebrate Halloween. Love and kisses, Remy baby.
Evening, everybody. Hope anyone who's out there, hopefully, having a good week. Staying warm. If you're in the Northeast anyway. Started getting pretty cold today. And then the next 2 days are just gonna be pretty fucking stupid in terms of cold. Probably the two coldest days we've had this year. Though Christmas Eve, was it? Christmas Eve or Christmas, one of those days was really cold. But next 2 days are gonna be either just as cold or colder. So stay warm if you're in the Northeast. Let's see. Little metal news. I mean, for anyone who didn't hear, Ozzy is respectively retiring from touring. He's just not healing the way he thought he was going to heal, and he can't do the travel anymore. It's just too much on him, and it's going to be way too much pain. I don't think that means he's going to stop making music. Especially after Patient Number 9, because that was a really good album. So I can see him getting together with another group of like really talented musicians. Oh, December 23rd. Was it? I don't know. I knew it was just one day up in there, and it was fucking cold. Like, really cold. And I remember because I had to take the kids out, and it was miserable. But, how you doing, Paulie? Thanks for swinging by, man. Much appreciated. So, yeah, he's just... I see him... He'll still make more music, I think. I think he's got another album or two in him. But and honestly, I don't see him not performing anymore. He's just not gonna tour. I can see him doing some one-off shows here and there, to maybe somewhere where he's somewhat local, or maybe a festival or two. I could see him, trying to bring back Ozfest for one or two shows. Doing something really big, because he won't go out this way. It's just not him. He won't go out this way. Celebrating an album anniversary of Exodus's sixth album, Tempo of the Dam. I think we celebrated that anniversary yesterday. So maybe we'll play some Tempo in a bit. But right now, let's check out some of let's see what we got. How about some Lindman solo material here? If you like Rammstein, you'll love this.
Es wird kalt, ich höre es schreien. Ich kenne meine Sitzplatznummer. Panik reitet großen Kummer. Ich nähe mich der Klagereihe. Immer lauter das Geschrei. Der Angst weicht nun Gewissheit hier. Ein Kleinkind sitzt gleich neben mir. Hier die Frage aller Klassen. Darf und kann man Kinder hassen? Ich hasse Kinder! Ich hasse Kinder! Der Schreihals turnt jetzt her und hin. Die Mutter blättert ein Magazin, spricht stumm zum Kind, während sie liest und dabei einen Apfel isst. Der liebe Herrgott will mich strafen, die Nervensäge will nicht schlafen, hört überhaupt nicht auf zu schreien. Der Vater schläft längst wie ein Stein. Hier die Frage aller Klassen, kann und muss man Kinder hassen? Ich hasse Kinder! Ich hasse Kinder! Nein, ich liebe sie, ja, ich liebe sie, die Großen und die Kleinen, doch es müssen meine sein. Doch ganz plötzlich wird es still. Es lacht mich an, ich bin verzückt. Streckt die Hand aus nach dem Kleinen. Da fängt es wieder an zu schreien. Ich hasse Kinder. Ich hasse Kinder. Nein, ich liebe sie. Ja, ich liebe sie. Die Großen und die Kleinen, doch es müssen meine sein. Ich hasse Kinder. Ich hasse Kinder. Hier kommt die Frage aller Fragen. Kann und muss man Kinder schlagen? Nein, ich liebe sie. Ja, ich liebe sie. Alle Kinder, groß und klein. Doch sie sollten meine sein.
How about we keep it in Deutschland for a little bit? And there's no one better in metal from Deutschland than the Mighty Destruction.
Of confusion, mankind creates their own gods. They feel the opposition. They feel the truth. But only one word makes them freeze to the bone. Fear the Antichrist.
So while destruction takes us to death, thrashing, death thrash, thrashes beyond death. I play a lot of death thrash on this channel, but man, they're one of those bands where, you know, obviously they never never got big. They never took off, and it was a shame. And you know what? There's probably hundreds of thrash bands like that from the early 80s. But these guys hit it home for me because they're from Jersey. And listening to them reminds me of my buddy Tom, who's no longer with us, who introduced me to Death Thrash. So, not Tom, Chris. They were twin brothers. They happened to both be gone. As awful as that is, but Chris introduced me to. He actually introduced me to Destruction too. But he introduced me to Death Thrash as well. So as I said, while Destruction thrashes till death, Death Thrash thrashes beyond death. You know, I love the fact knowing that Death Thrash is currently working on new music. You know, they really technically only have one album, Thrash Beyond Death. They had demos and like EPs for years, but they never actually put out a full length album up until 2007, 2008. Am I into HP Lovecraft? I am very much into Lovecraft. Reanimator is one of my all-time favorite movies, and while I know that the Reanimator movie does stray a bit from the source material from Lovecraft, it is still Lovecraft. But I very much like Lovecraft and Clive Barker, who I do really kind of put into like the same category. The way they wrote it is very similar, and you can kind of see it. You actually really can see it in some of the movies, you know, especially like if you take Hellraiser and Reanimator and you put them side by side, there are, pardon me, there are a lot of similar aspects to them. God, I love Hellraiser. You know, I forgot how much I really enjoy the first movie because the second one is my favorite. But I don't know, maybe about 4 or 5 years ago, during Joe Bob's original last drive-in 24-hour marathon, and was watching with my buddy Ray, and they played Hellraiser, and we are like, oh, all right, you know, we're kind of hoping for something a little different, a little out there, but it's like, all right, we both kind of agreed that, you know, we hadn't seen the original Hellraiser in a while, so, you know, it wasn't a big deal, and we both just, like, managed to just, like, re-fall in love with that movie. Hey, Willie, what's up, man? Thanks for swinging by. Lovecraft. You know, I've heard of it. I don't have Tubi. The only streaming service I have is fucking Netflix, and the only reason why I keep it is because my wife likes watching shit on it, and my kids like to watch shit on it. Literally the only reason why I still have Netflix. Otherwise, I don't have any other streaming service. But I will look for some torrents of it. I really got to look up and see like what it's all about too. But anything horror, anything Lovecraft related, I'm a big fan of. As I said, really, really big fan of Reanimator and Herbert West. All right, so got done listening to a little Death Thrash, one of my all-time favorite bands, especially again from them being from Jersey. So how about we stay in the Jersey state, the Garden State rather, and how about we check out a little Overkill. We'll take it back to 2010. And we're gonna check out the title track from their 2010 record, Ironbound. You know, I love it when people come in here and they say, you know, I like metal, but I'm not really big into it. Or it's like, I don't hate metal, but I never really got into it. I love it when people come into my streams and they say that because then it gives me uh, a mission. You know, it gives me something to work for. The Melvins. All right. Quick lesson here. Metal has so many subgenres that it can be scary and overwhelming. And metal, when people who don't listen to metal think of metal, they think of like fucking Slayer and just like almost incoherent, crazy death metal nonsense. Metal is so many more layers to that. And me personally, I specialize in 80s thrash metal, mainly 80s Bay Area thrash metal, which does include Slayer, but I rarely play Slayer on this channel. But a good way to sort of bridge the gap into metal when you're not really big into metal is the subgenre of crossover thrash metal. Now, crossover thrash metal is a really unique style of thrash metal. It's almost entirely clean lyrics, and when I say clean lyrics, I mean it's you can fucking understand it. It doesn't, like, some people hear the word clean and they think, oh, not dirty, not cursing or anything. That has nothing to do with it. Clean. You have rough vocals, you have clean vocals in metal. And crossover thrash metal is almost entirely clean vocals. And it's the most accessible form of metal, in my opinion. So, to sort of ease you into the world of metal, into a world you're obviously not overly familiar with, which is, obviously fine. I don't want to play anything that's gonna offend you or just be like, how the fuck do you listen to that? And I could do that. I could play some fucking who could I play that would just make you be like, what the fuck? Maybe like Knockmistium or something. That's psychedelic black metal. Though, they are pretty fucking catchy. But I could play like Entrails or fucking, oh god, Immolation, or Nocturnal Mortem. But I want you to hang around. I want you to kind of get into it. I want you to kind of appreciate it. So we're gonna look at some crossover thrash metal bands here. We're gonna visit one band that I play a lot on the channel, and we're gonna listen to the one song that I play the most by them because it's the first song I ever heard by them, and it instantly sold me. Instantly sold me on this band. Now, I discovered this band a couple years ago. Never heard of them before. Knew nothing about them. They're from like the mid 2000s, and they're a Swedish crossover thrash band called Dr. Living Dead. Most of the songs that they write are tied to horror in some way, and that's another big thing in a lot of metal is metal and horror, and usually drinking. They kind of go together. But Dr. Living Dead, that was their gimmick. They sing a lot about horror. They have songs about Chucky and Gremlins, street trash. But this track, off their 2011 album is by far my favorite. As I said, it's the first song I ever heard by these guys, and it instantly sold me. I haven't met anyone, I haven't played this song for anyone who didn't love it. It's just got a great groove and is a really fantastic example of what crossover thrash metal is supposed to be, especially in a very modern, time that we're in now. Crossover thrash metal is not big anymore, but these guys did it. So this is Dr. Living Dead with My Brain is for Sale. Yeah, man, that song, the first song I heard by that band, instantly sold me. I don't see any link in chat. I don't even see anything that got removed. um, so let's take it from Sweden. Let's take it back to the East Coast here, and we're gonna go over to Richmond, Virginia, to our next crossover thrash metal band, one of my all-time favorite bands, because these guys, these guys sing about 80s horror and drinking, mostly drinking, and that's it. And of course, I'm talking about the mighty Municipal Waste, again from Richmond, Virginia, from the early 2000s. These guys, man, these guys took crossover thrash to a whole new level. They took what the Suicidal Tendencies started all the way back in the Bay Area in the early 80s, and they fucking exploded. Yeah, it sounds pretty heavy. Yeah, I don't even see a link in my chat. So it's a little strange. So let's play a couple of tracks from Municipal Waste here. These guys, again, one of my favorite bands. We're going to play a couple tracks because Municipal Waste is true crossover thrash metal. And when I say true crossover thrash metal, I mean is most of their songs are not longer than 2 minutes. And like that's what thrash metal really was supposed to be. It was supposed to be fast and hard and heavy and to the fucking point, and that was it. And these guys really stuck to it. So we're going to knock off a couple. We're going to do some horror-themed Municipal Waste. We're going to do some drinking-themed Municipal Waste. But right now, we're going to do a back-to-back twofer from their 2005 album, Hazardous Mutation. We're going to start it off with Mind Eraser, and we're going to go right into the Terror Shark. one thing that those guys knows, and it's fucking drinking, man. They their shows are pretty wild. At least they used to be really wild in like the 2000s, man. I've seen videos and stuff. Man, they used to get fucking trashed and just crazy up on stage. Really good stuff. Good stuff. All right, so in this little voyage of crossover thrash, we got one more band to look at, and the band that started it all. And that's, of course, Suicidal Tendencies. I mean, you're going back to 1981, 1982 with ST and Mike Muir. They're the band. They started it all. And they're still going strong today. Mike is as much as a psychomaniac today as he was back in the early 80s. And I fucking love it. I've had the opportunity to see them live a couple of times, and it's one of my favorite bands to see live. They got some really, really good tracks. A lot of really fun tracks, especially from the early 90s. That's when they were putting out a lot of really fun things. And we're going to check out one right now. Not a overly heavy song. More of, it was almost more punkish in a way. But, I don't know. Song actually sort of means something. It sounds sort of stupid, but it's not really stupid. And that's because you gotta kill Captain Stupid.
Just look in the
Suicidal is one of those bands. Every time I listen to it, it just makes me smile. And just, man, to think that, they were around they've been around just as long as bands like Metallica and Exodus. They were before Slayer, they were before Death Angel, they were before Testament. And they would play shows with Metallica and Exodus and eventually Megadeth when Dave got kicked out of Metallica. They were playing shows, outdoor mini metal festivals with those bands, playing shows at Ruthie's with them. It's wild that when people talk about, old school metal, obviously, old school thrash metal anyway, the first band that everybody thinks of is fucking Metallica. And these people don't even realize that before fucking Metallica was Metallica, Exodus existed. Suicidal Tendencies, all these bands, they came up with Metallica or came before Metallica. I mean, it's just people who don't really know the history of metal, but it is what it is at the end of the day. All right, so I said I had something cool for you guys. I think you guys will like it. I know, when you're in Joke's stream and stuff, he plays a lot of classic rock, and a lot of bands predate them. But I'm talking about thrash metal, like real thrash metal. And, most people think it was Metallica that was the first band, and it wasn't. It was Exodus. They really created thrash metal as we know it, at least in the United States. I mean, you had Sodom, you had Creator, and you had Destruction over in Germany around the same time, give or take, creating German thrash metal. But thrash metal as we know it in the United States, it was Exodus. So, what are my thoughts on black metal? I got no aversion to black metal. I listen to some black metal bands. I like Venom, Nocturnal Mortem. They're a really unique, folk black metal band. Knockmistium, they're a psychedelic black metal band. And this band is not it's not black metal, because they're not really metal, but they're sort of psychedelic black in nature, and it's more of a hard rock vibe. And this is another band from Sweden. I like a lot of Swedish bands. They sing in English, though. And I discovered this band around 2010, 2011. And I heard a few songs, and I picked up this album. It's called Heisingen Blues. And the vocalist is amazing, and the musical arrangements were just really, really special. And it was this song in particular that really hit me. And before I start playing the song, I'm going to prefix it with the end of the song. I like to call it an abridged, condensed, better version of the Freebird solo, and you'll hear exactly what I mean when the end of the song kicks on and the extended outro solo plays. You're gonna hear it and you're gonna be like, yeah, I kind of hear Freebird in there, but it's like it's really unique, and I think you guys will dig it and appreciate it. the Melvins kind of kickstarted metal. Well, metal was technically metal as we know it as a music genre was invented in 1969 by none other than Tony Iommi of Black Sabbath. And it was invented because he lost some of his fingers in a accident at his job, and because of it, he had nubs on his fingers, and he had to play in a lower register on his guitar because it was it was easier for him at the time, and it's basically it created this real doomy sound that no one had ever heard of before, thus inventing not only heavy metal as we know it, but doom metal as its own subgenre. He created the subgenre of doom metal, technically before the genre of metal was invented. That's why Tony Iommi, in my eyes, in my opinion, is the greatest musician, greatest guitarist that has ever lived. For that simple reason. But anyway, so this is a band from Sweden off a 2011 record called Heisingen Blues. The name of the band is Graveyard, and the track is called Uncomfortably Numb. I hope you guys really dig this one. It's a special song.
Wasn't there when you needed me, but you never let me in your life. I didn't say what bothered me, you sure said more than that. The silence that followed didn't do us any good, and it seems like you settled for me, 'cause I was the best that you could get, but there wasn't enough. I'm not what you want, and you're not the one for me. I've been leaving you since the day we met, and it feels like you had to. I remember when I met you, the day I saw your smile, and now it's time to let go. Oh, it's time to feel alive. The problems I have with you are the ones you have with me. Even though we're holding love, we both know we drifted apart. I guess this is it. Why bother when there's nothing left? When neither you or me are here, growing bitter and uncomfortably numb.
Yeah, that was Lazarus AD off their 2011 album Black Rivers Flow. Fantastic album, man. um, it's almost a start to finish. Like, this is really good. I don't want to skip it kind of album, you know. Very rare, very rare to come across an album like that. um, but yeah, just a really, really cool band. It just sucks that Tragedy hit them, and they really never did anything more, as far as I know. um, but you know what? That's kind of a cool theme, and I'm gonna go with it for a little bit right now. We played some Guar, and I always play Guar when I stream. But some Guar, in the memory of the late Dave Brocky, aka the mighty Odorous Urungus. Lazarus AD, they lost their drummer. And I actually got a few more bands lined up with members who are sadly no longer with us. One band in particular that was a very, very underrated band that kind of flew under the radar for its entire career. Surprisingly, that it did that, considering that it was founded by the greatest metal drummer of all time. But we'll get to that band in a second. Right now, I'm feeling another palate cleanser. And let's see, which one? All right, how about let's see. I'm sitting here, I'm looking, because this whole album is so good. So good. I don't know which one I want to play. And that song's a little depressing. All right. So, this is off a solo record by Leslie West from 2013 called Still Climbing. Leslie West, if you're not familiar with the name, he was the founder, guitarist, and frontman for Mountain. I was never a big Mountain fan. But I did come across this album when it dropped in 2013, and it was, man, it blew me away. Like, I knew Leslie West was, he was good. I did not realize he was that good. So this is a track off his 2013 solo album, and this one is called Fade Into You.
If you were the ocean and I was the sun, the day made me heavy and gravity won. If I was the red and you were the blue, I could just fade into you. If you were a window and I was the rain, I'd pour myself out and wash off your pain. I'd fall like the tears
so your light could shine through. And I just fade into you. In your heart, in your head, in your arm, in your bed. There's no way to know where you end and where I begin. In your heart, in your head, in your arms, in your bed. If I were a shadow and you were a street, the cobblestone midnight is where we'd first meet. Till the lights flickered out and we danced with the moon, and I would just fade into you. If I were ashes and you were the ground, under your willow is where they'd lay me down. There'd be no trace, but one was once two. After I fade into you, in your heart, in your head, in your arm, in your bed. There's no way to know where you end and where I begin. In your heart, in your head, in your arms, in your bed.
Man, I love the guitar work in that song so much. And you pair that really unique guitar sound with Leslie West's voice at that time in his life, and it was, oh, man. It was just, it was like just butter. It's just such a match made in just rock heaven. And it's sad to think that we lost the mighty Leslie West back in 2020. But he had all kinds of health issues. I mean, the last 15 years of his life, he was working with one leg. I think he had one of his legs amputated. I think the diabetes. I'm not entirely sure, but I'm pretty sure it was diabetes. But he would still tour. He would still tour. He would play sitting down, and it was wild. But that album, still climbing. A fantastic album. I need to play more of it. You know, when I'm not just like in a solely focused metal mood, you know, just play more of it on the stream. Just really good. Some more of that, maybe some more Steve Morse, some Blue Saraceno. You know, just more guitar focused musicians. Good shit. So from yet another musician who has gone before his time to another one here. we're going to take a look at some Grip Inc. Grip Inc. They're an interesting band. They were founded. So they were founded. I don't know. It had to be the early 2000s or late 90s. No. It had to be like the mid to late 90s. And they were founded by Dave Lombardo, greatest metal drummer ever, and they were fronted by Gus Chambers. Now, Gus Chambers he never was real big in the metal world. He had a band before Grip. It was a German band, if I remember correctly. And I don't know anything about it. And he only sang on one album. And no, that wasn't even before. No, he joined that band after Grip. I don't know. I don't know anything about that band. I don't even know the name of that band. But that was the only other band that I know of that he was in. He was a really unique singer. In certain aspects, sort of reminded me of Pete Steele before Typo. Like almost more, if you've ever listened to Carnivore, he sort of kind of gave me Carnivore Pete Steele vibes at times. The style of music was like a real heavy industrial thrash, and it's even weird. I can't even, a lot of times I can't even call it thrash because it's really not. It's heavier and just more just a more driven sound. But they put out a bunch of albums and they were all really good albums. But my favorite album will always be the last one they put out back in 2004, Incorporated. Fantastic album. It's another one of those albums from start to finish. It's just wild. And we're going to listen to one of my favorite tracks off that album. This one is called Built to Resist.
Into
it'll always upset me knowing that we lost him back in 2008. He died of an overdose, but a lot of people really think it was suicide. Dude had just immeasurable talent, just insane range on his voice, insane. Really wish we could have gotten more grip. Lombardo has talked about over the years, maybe trying to reform grip, but you can't. You can't. Like you can't replace Gus Chambers' vocals. It's just it doesn't work. And he's decided to let it be. They've released a couple of tracks that were never released before, which was cool. But Lombardo's always liked to do his own thing. Right now he's back in Testament, and he was with Suicidal Tendencies for a while, and he's got another solo project going with Mike Patton of Faith No More called Dead Cross, and that's a pretty cool little project. And then he's got another side solo project going on with his wife, and I listened to a few tracks of that stuff, and it's fucking weird. Yeah, no, it's fucking weird. And it's weird in a completely different way than like Richie Blackmore and his wife Candace Knight doing Blackmore's Night. Yeah, I don't know how to explain this Lombardo and his wife collaboration. Just it's out there. It's different. Let's just put it that way. But speaking of Richie Blackmore, we brought up Rainbow before, and we're gonna play some Rainbow right now. We're gonna do a twofer, not of Rainbow, but we're gonna do a twofer Dio, and we're gonna do two of my favorite songs. Both are very underplayed, underrated songs when it comes to just the Dio catalog as a whole. And I'm not entirely sure why neither of these songs get the credit that's due to them, because they're just they're both arranged masterfully. The lyrics are fantastic. The vocals are great. And it's just everything about them is amazing. The first track we're gonna check out is from 1975 off Rainbow's debut album. So we're paying we're doing this little block of musicians who have passed away, and sadly we get a twofer on this one with the just immortal Dio and one of the greatest drummers who ever lived in Cozy Powell. I say Dave Lombardo is the greatest metal drummer who ever lived, and I believe that down to my goddamn core. But when you talk about just overall drummers, there really is not many, if any, that can match Cozy Powell. Neil Peart, yeah, he was good. He came goddamn close in my opinion. Another one we lost a little too soon. But Cozy was on another level. Just man, that is one of the few, one of the musicians who I wish I could have saw live. Cozy Powell. But wasn't meant to be. Before I play the song in talking about great drummers I wish I could have seen. They're just great drummers in general. One of them that I did get to see twice, and it was worth it in every aspect, was the just amazing Stuart Copeland of The Police. I got to see the Police live twice on their certified tour when they got, basically their reunion tour years ago. I got to see them at Giant Stadium and Madison Square Garden. It just, bucket list item fucking crossed off. Seeing the Police live, seeing Stuart Copeland play live. So good. So goddamn good. Anyway, back to the music. So as I said, we're going back to 1975 here off Rainbow's debut album, Rainbow. And we're going to check out the second track off that album. And again, it's just one of my all-time favorite Rainbow tracks. It does not get enough play. It does not get talked about enough. It's just very, very underrated song. This one is called Self-Portrait.
Down
I just came across this band literally like 2 days ago. I don't know really much about them other than they're a Russian folk metal band, and that the lead singer, her stage name is Masha Scream, and that's about it. I've managed to scrounge up most of their discography, if not all of it. So I really need to sit down and go through it because it's that song alone is just really fucking awesome. I love it so much. If I stream tomorrow night, I'm definitely going to be playing more of their stuff. Again, that band's called Arcona. I don't again. I've listened to about 2 or 3 songs by them so far, and they've just been really good. Anyone who knows me knows just if I find some good folk metal, I'm all about it. Especially Russian folk metal for some reason. I found one Russian, Belarusian, but it's technically Russian, folk metal band a few years ago, and they blew me away. So finding a bit more Russian folk metal is just hitting the jackpot there. All right, guys, we're gonna wrap it up here. We got 2 songs left. One song, if you've ever been to one of my streams, you know exactly what song we end with. But this other song, I play it on almost every one of my streams, but I think we're gonna start doing. I think we're gonna start ending with this one as well. We're gonna do 2 for ending combo here. Thank you, John, Paulie, Willie, guys, for hanging out. Anyone else who might be lurking, glad just to see some people in here hanging out, bullshitting, headbanging, and thrashing, the way we always do. So thank you, guys. Might be back tomorrow night for Folk Friday. If you don't know, Folk Friday, I play mainly folk metal. We'll play some other stuff, some normal stuff, but Folk Friday, I usually try to concentrate on the folk metal. So, a lot of Fintroll, a lot of Corpiclani, shit like that. So, if you're into folk metal, or if you're trying to maybe expand a bit and listen to a bit more folk metal, definitely come check out stream tomorrow night. I usually go live sometime between 9 and 9:30 Eastern time, so hopefully I'll see you then. Anyway, thank you guys so much. I said 2 more, and then we're then I'm heading to bed because I got work in the morning. But thank you guys. Remember, keep those horns up. Heavy, hard, forever.